Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News. Champions begins once again today, but a big day in the Valorant world because many new pieces of information as to what the franchise league is going to look like next year, when the teams have to lock in rosters, and just how many rosters are going to be changing going into next season. TSM may well be wiping the slate clean and picking up entirely new players. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the channel. Thanks for 24,000 subs as well. Not sure I thank you guys for that. A couple of days ago, this also from Turko, yeah, not shot, not so clearly missed on this one. Just goes straight through the sky. I mean, yeah, bit of a strange one to be honest, but of course, they won that series regardless. They'll be in action very soon. This I thought was pretty funny from Zom as well. What is going on? Sen 11s, yeah, Sen 11s versus Sen 10s. I want to see that 1 versus 1 in action. But I mean, yeah, of course, Sentinels, I believe it's been stated now, and some sources have indicated the Sentinels are 99.9% guaranteed to get through to the Partnership League next season. That, of course, is an absolute no-brainer. They've seemingly now got the resources. They've got they've got the team, they've got the clout, they've got everything you might want really in a partnership team. And of course, as long as the financials check out, which seemingly they do. So Sentinels should be in, Cloud9 it should be in, these other organizations. We don't really know about the other ones because from North America, we expect only about 7 teams to make it through because the likes of maybe Crew or Loud or Furia or these organizations from South America and Brazil, they will potentially be getting in as well into the 10-team Americas League. So there's only a few teams, but Sentinels we can now expect to be highly likely to be one of them. But of course, many of the players, we don't really know what their future is going to be. We saw Zelsis recently recalled to the version 1 team now with Xander, just because, okay, Sentinels had Zelsis, but version 1, they want to get through to partnership as well, and they want to make sure that Zelsis is part of their roster as and when they do. If they don't make partnership version 1, then they can probably sell Zelsis elsewhere or whatever, if that is the most sensible thing to do, or they just then field a team in challenges and not in the Pro League. But I'm sure players like Zelsis and Xander want to, if they have offers, play in the actual top tier division. So let's dive into some of the more details here. Firstly, from George Geddes, I think this has been stated actually a few days ago, but just to kind of confirm now from multiple different sources that yes, next season the teams will not be able to field academy rosters. This is rather interesting just because effectively the idea is, for the way the Partnership League is going to work, is that, okay, you've got the teams in the pro side, and then every single season, one team will qualify through Ascension, which is effectively the way for anyone to qualify for the Partnership League, even if your organization didn't get selected for it by Riot themselves. So you can get in that way, which obviously is really cool for the kind of the health, let's just say, of the franchise partnership ecosystem that Valorant is moving into. But of course, the problem is that if you've got an academy team, and then you, well, let's say qualify through Ascension or whatever, there is potential conflicts of interest there. So they're effectively denying these teams having an academy roster, but they will therefore be able to sign multiple additional players as substitutes, which may be what we see players do. Now, this was actually mentioned a few days ago here on September the 2nd, but now I've seen it from multiple sources, pretty much guarantees that is indeed going to be the case. The rather new information, though, is this part. Sources say that partner teams will have to submit an early roster to Riot in October. This is a soft roster lock. Teams will then get to sign players until the start of the league in February. So this is really interesting, actually. I do wonder, like, if they have to submit an early roster, will a lot of these teams already have to decide what their team is going to be by October? Like, do they have to submit an entire 5-man roster to Riot, or can they say, well, we've got like 3 players and then we're looking to find the other ones? Because there shouldn't necessarily be an obligation to lock in your team until February, but of course, all the organizations are going to want to lock in their team early because they don't want the players getting poached, right? Like, let's say Zelsis and version 1 don't make it in, and now Zelsis is a very hot commodity on the market, or even let's say Victor or Crashies or Marv, like who knows what happens, for example, with the OpTic team. We've talked about the drama there recently. Like, you know, if those players are available on the market, everyone will be going to try and lock them down. So teams are not going to hang around with regard to making roster changes this offseason, and pretty much as soon as Champions finishes, we're going to get a lot of noise about this. Now, the other noise, of course, which is very important, is which organizations actually get through. So Champions ends on September the 18th, and apparently there is some announcement plans on September the 26th, just about a week or so after the conclusion of the tournament. So Champions ends in a couple of weeks' time. Then shortly after that, we get an announcement from Riot, we imagine, as to which organizations are getting through. So they've probably already decided to a certain degree, like, you know, which organizations are going to make it. They haven't necessarily told the teams yet, but by the end of September, we will know which organizations will be in the franchising league pretty much all around the world. So therefore, when that happens, the teams then have maybe 2 to 3 weeks to try and lock in a roster. So of course, all the organizations that get partnered will, you know, you'd imagine unless an organization gets partnered, which doesn't, not even in Valorant at the moment, but that seems incredibly unlikely, they will already have a roster that they can either stick with or make changes, because there will be so many players on the market. As I say, even let's say Shopify Rebellion, let's say they don't get through, there's the likes of B-Dog now on the market, right? The players might want to, or the teams might want to go for, and of course, depending on how these organizations do at Champions, that raises big questions indeed. So it's going to be a messy period, but these organizations are going to be in a bit of a race, because Riot apparently is stating by about the middle of August, they have to submit some sort of roster. Now, they can still change that roster, they can still sign new players as substitute and make changes to their team, but they've got to have some idea what they're doing by a couple of weeks into the off-season. They have about until the start of February to actually finalize their team, but they'll have to have a good idea of which players they're trying to target, because if they leave it too late, then other teams are going to snap the hot prospects up. So very interesting stuff. Now, of course, we see this with a lot of organizations already in North America, that they are preparing to make some serious moves. For example, TSM, Juvenile, pretty respectable coach, formerly of a crew, formerly of TSM now, as like, I think he's made some good progress with many of the organizations he's been on, but he's now gone from TSM. They let him go, they let him try and, well, explore other options. So that's the thing, it's not just the player roster mania, it's also the coach mania as well. Different coaches are going to get dropped and go to different teams. Like, that's another kind of big talking point around this entire situation. Now, some further implications here that TSM are not going to survive this period unchanged, because we expect TSM to still get a spot in the franchise league. That would be understandable. But yeah, as even GMD says here, this whole franchising is about to be a bloodbath. Good luck to all my friends that love you, all right? So he's kind of suggesting here, like, okay, he knows full well that the entire thing's going to be a bit of a mess, but also probably for his organization. He probably wouldn't be saying this if he was confident that their team would be sticking together and it was all going to be okay going forwards. So more than likely, TSM are going to blow the entire thing up, which makes sense, right? Their roster hasn't been particularly good. They might keep 1, maybe 2 players, but I expect the majority of TSM's roster to completely disappear going into next season. Whether those players can get spots elsewhere, who knows? That, of course, even relies on TSM getting a spot in franchising. So that's why all of this is such a mess to decipher. Now, apparently there was some tweet that came out. I didn't really see the origin of this tweet, but implying something about IGLs in North America. And of course, he does the hashtag phase up. So I don't really know if there's anything actually going on here to read into, but still, just to mention, the certain teams, maybe the likes of FaZe, are certainly considering their options on the IGL front for next season. And this is another thing actually as well, because Bo is also talking after Mia and the fact that there's some interesting things apparently already in the works, like America is doing. So maybe certain organizations are already considering getting players. Like Nats obviously could be an interesting one, right? Just to say, because Nats and a lot of those guys from the former M3C team, they are big name free agents. And it's possible that some of the North American organizations that might already plan to change their roster if they do get through are already in discussion with some of these guys to try and get it in. So it's going to be an absolutely chaotic period. We will find out more over the coming days as to what these organizations, if they even get in, and what they are planning to do if they do get into the partnership league. OpTic, of course, have been one of the big discussion points. Ye has kind of denied to a certain extent that there's that much drama happening, but yeah, still a lot going on there, I'm sure, internally. Chet, though, finally gets his negative test, so he's able to finally leave his room and actually, you know, go and help the OpTic boys when they play in a few days' time for the second half of the tournament. So we're going to leave it there for now with all the franchising rumors and news and stuff, but definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. And let's dive into then what the rest of this tournament looks like. So it continues once again today. This I thought was interesting actually, just to see the upgraded tractor power rankings, team rating adjusted, etc, etc. These are apparently the favorites for the rest of the tournament. There's now 6 teams up here in the S tier. He adjusted this based on the strength of NA and based on the first few days of the World Championship, saying that OpTic, FPX, DRX, Leviathan, Loud 100T, they should all be up here, which is pretty interesting to say that now 100 Thieves are apparently favored over Fnatic to qualify out of their group, as of course will FPX be, but that's pretty incredible. And just to mention this, I'm sure some of you guys have seen over the last few days the great story of a BCJ right from xNed and the struggles that he's had and the successes that he's currently having. And you know, it's really enjoyable to see these guys having great success, and hopefully it continues throughout the rest of the tournament. But I thought it was quite the statement actually here from BCJ as well. He mentions after the win against FPX, you've got to be mentally tough as a team, and I think we are probably the toughest out of any team at this tournament, so that is why. So quite the statement really there. Hopefully that can continue for them, but I mean, yeah, they're saying that they might have the toughest mental in the entire scene, and that of course can and will be a huge factor in the pressure moments as this tournament progresses. Of course, they got through to the playoffs already. The playoffs currently look like this. If you guys didn't see yesterday's video with DRX, Leviathan, OpTic and xNed already through, now they will play, of course, the winners of the second seeded matches, which begin today. So 2 massive matches today. play. We've got Paper X versus Team Liquid. Like, I don't know how to call this one, to be honest. Both of these teams got clapped hard by Leviathan. I think I probably have to take Paper X as marginal favorites in this series, but I honestly think this is really tough to call. I feel like it could be a map 3 overtimer. It's going to be a good one. And then Loud versus Zeta. I think I've got to favor Loud, really. The only team they ever seem to lose to really is OpTic Gaming. So I think the Loud should still be favorites. I mean, look, they beat Zeta the first time round. They probably should be able to get the job done again. And then the other games happen tomorrow. So we'll definitely talk into that when the time comes. And just to say this before we close out as well, I thought this was interesting to see. Phantom pick rate versus Vandal so far this tournament. 100 Thieves and DRX, the only team that's picking the Phantom more than the Vandal, but many teams going entirely the other way around. Generally, the Americas seem to like the Phantom more than other regions, but DRX and Fnatic are certainly exceptions there. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tell us your YouTube gods, this is a good video. I'd also like you should see it as well, and grow the competitive Valorant community. Thank you as always, take care, and I'll see you next time.